Good morning. Hey there. Welcome to the very first Starting the Week in Action call. I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're live or watching the replay, this is our brand new weekly rhythm to reset, get intentional, and step into momentum. I'm going to try it out on Mondays because I like to keep Sundays kind of quiet. So it is a Monday and we are starting the week in action. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Stephanie Marie, akaGabbie. I'm the founder of Gabbie and Company and Business Growth Society. This is where I help entrepreneurs create, launch, and grow their business in a way that is mindful, intentional, and authentic while still being profitable. My mission is simple: to help you create your version of success without burning out in the process. I created Starting the Week in Action because Mondays often pull us straight into reactive mode with emails and text and distractions and busy work, and we wake up and we hit the ground running and very much in a reactive rather than a proactive. And so I wanted a space where we could kind of reset, step back, breathe, and choose what actually matters and set the tone for the week of progress instead of overwhelm. That's what we're going to do here together. So let's pause and reflect for just a moment and tell me, what does success look like for you for this week? Not overall or forever, but just for this week or even for today. If you only accomplish one thing today or this week, by Friday, what would make you feel proud about that? If you just got the one thing done, often I say three, but let's just focus on one. Sometimes one is all we really have the bandwidth to get done. So to keep it practical and doable, here is what we're looking at every Monday. You're going to write down, and I'm going to default to my top three priorities. But if you can only manage one, and sometimes that's where I'm at, write those down. So write down your top three priorities for the week. Check your calendar, and then have you blocked time for those top three? If not, schedule it, block it. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. And then today, pick your first action step that gets you moving. What's the one thing you can do for one of those or all three of those top priorities that will get you into momentum to take action, to keep going? That's it. One, two, three, bam. Write down your top three priorities for the week, check your calendar and block them in, schedule it, because if it's not on the calendar, it won't happen. Pick your first couple action steps to get you going. That's it. It is that simple, even though sometimes it feels really, really hard. If you just take the one step for the one priority and you do 1% every day, eventually you're doing 100%. So just go ahead and take action with your top three priorities this week. And that's pretty much how we should do it every Monday or Sunday or whenever your week starts. That's what you need to do. I find that Sundays and Mondays are the best day for planning. Sunday, as you know, is my CEO dashboard. And I sit down, I look and see what worked last week, what didn't. I review the month up to that point. I review the quarter up to that point, and then I set whatever needs to be a priority for the week on the calendar. But I always do my personal things first, and then I do client work, and then I do my business. It probably should be personal, my business, and then my client work. But I put my clients as a priority over growing my other parts of my business. And that's just who I am. And some people will say that is backwards, but it's how I lead. I lead with service, I lead with my heart, and I lead with helping my clients. So that is how we are kind of doing a reset. I would love to hear what other people do as a reset for their Monday, or how to be more in action mode rather than reaction. There's a big difference between being reactive and taking action. And sometimes we confuse the two. And I can always tell when I'm in a reactive mode because I start getting a lot of anxiety. It's just ecstatic. I call it static. And when I'm in an active or a very controlled mode, it seems like everything's going easier. And I'm like, oh, wow, I got that done. I got this done. And so that is just how we're going to start is find the time, no matter how early, or even if it has to be in the middle of a Monday. Say you were reactive, you jumped up, you got out of bed, you got ready, you got out of the house, you did, or you had to go and do whatever you had to do, and you didn't plan your priorities. It's never too late to stop, regardless of what day of the week it is, and say, I need to get this one thing done, or I got these three things that have to be done. And this is what I'm going to do to get them done. And you will feel a sense of relief, or at least I do, once I get those done. When I can look at my calendar and say, oh my gosh, I got all those done. I've talked about this in my podcast about my CEO dashboard, how I do time blocking, and how I color code batch content, things like that. And when I can step back on a Sunday when I'm doing my CEO dashboard and look at my planner and look at I use Google Calendar. I color code that as well, but I really like to look at my planner because I like to write. There's something therapeutic about writing. And so I will look at that and go, oh, wow, I did got all those things done. Or it holds me accountable and I say, oh, I did not do anything that I said I was going to do. And why didn't I do that? So that's kind of how we should, an easy way, or I shouldn't say easy because easy is a relative term. My easy is somebody else's hard, or my hard is somebody else's easy. That's all relative. What I'd like to say is, just start, just do, just show up for you. And I hope that is helpful. Does anyone have want to share how they do their reset, how they stay in action rather than reactive mode? Or if you find yourself in reactive mode, what are some of the things that you can do to correct that or to stop it and become more aligned with where you want to be? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being reactive because I am reactive to certain things, but how quickly do we get back to neutral ground or stable ground? Are we going here and then way down here? How hard or how quickly can we get to the middle? And that's what's important. We can be reactive and be like, oh my gosh, and just have a total meltdown. Or I'll say, you can only eat worms for so long, or you can only be reactive. Yes, honor those feelings, but how quickly do we get back to the action mode, the neutral zone of being like, okay, this is how we're going to fix this, or this is what we need to do. Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about today. So, what are your top three things or one priority? So, what are your top three priorities for the week? And have you blocked them in your calendar? And then, what are your first steps to action? I'd love to have you share them in the comments. That would be awesome. We'll just give it a second. It's really do 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 do. What is that? Is it Jeopardy? I think it's Jeopardy. Now, because it is a Monday, it is the beginning of the week. We're in a rush. We're reactive just because we're human. We are. And I know I'm saying let's not be reactive, but we are taking a lot of action first thing in the morning. And so these are not long calls. These are 15-minute blasts, 15-minute take action. We're getting focused, we're implementing and we're taking action, and then we're moving on and getting to the priorities. Because if we sit on meetings all day or we sit on learning all day and we overconsume all this information and we don't ever take action, that's not going to work. It's just not going to work for anybody. You're going to know a lot of things. You're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to think about a lot of things, but we're not ever taking action. And so I don't ever want to get in the way of you taking action. Because we have 2 minutes left, I'm going to look at the comments really quickly and make sure before we wrap up, and then we will call it a day. and I will wish you guys an amazing week ahead. We have a few other calls scheduled for the week. And if you have any specific subjects you want to talk about, please send me a message. And I would love to cover those in the podcast or inside our Business Growth Society community or inside my VIP group, because I have VIPs here. I have our free community here because I want to open it up to everybody, because we all need this quick little step into action first of the week. And so to recap it all, we're stepping into action and we are focusing on 1 to 3 priorities for the week. We're time blocking those into our calendar, and we are looking to see what action it will take for us to complete those by Friday, not by Sunday. Let's challenge ourselves and do it by Friday. Let me check the comments really quick. Let's look. Okay, great. So some people are starting with 1. Perfect. 1 is just fine. Like I said, I like to meet you where you're at. And and so I'm going to meet you where you're at to help you create your version of success. My version of taking action sometimes is 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 priorities for the week. For some, it's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's what, it doesn't matter. And so it's for you, what works best for you. So I love that. There's a lot of 1s, which is a great to start with, because then we will just compounding it. We'll just do a little bit more and a little bit more, or it might just be 1 every week for you. And I love that. No, I don't wish. I like to be really busy. So I am one of those people who will have 3 to 5 priorities for the week. So good on you. Put it in your calendar and then, map out what action you have to do, the different tasks. You could take it 1 step forward. And if you have the 1 priority and you have 5 things to complete that priority, schedule those 5 things in your calendar so that you get it done by Friday. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. All right. You will hear me say this a million times, and I will always say this. Your time is your most valuable asset, and it is 9:45. These are 15-minute sessions. And so we are going to go ahead and wrap up our very first starting the weekend action call. I look forward to having this grow. I hope a lot of you will watch the replay, and I hope that you take a few minutes to really map out your top 1 to 3 priorities, block your time, and commit to that 1 first step today. And remember that it's about creating your version of success, not staying busy, but moving forward with intention. We'll be here every Monday, so treat this as your reset button for the week. If you're ready for more support and accountability beyond this call, I'd love for you to join me inside Business Growth Society VIP. When you join me inside Business Growth Society, we do a more personal approach so I can really meet you where you're at and help you create your version of success. I want to thank you for spending this time with me, and let's make this week one filled with clarity, action, and momentum. I'll see you next Monday for starting the week in action. Have a great day.